Hola chicos, welcome to our second online lesson. Today the title is ¿Qué se puede hacer en? What can you do in? And our learning objectives are describing holiday activities and using the superlative. We're going to start by linking the comparative sentences here in English and the ones in Spanish. Please write both in your books. I've got the pause symbol here to give yourself more time. Here you've got some help to remind you of the structure of the comparatives. And here there's a translation challenge. Me gustaría vivir en una casa con 6 habitaciones y una piscina grande porque me gusta nadar con mis amigos. See what tense this is. Right, as an example, I'll give you number 1. Mi casa tiene 5 habitaciones y 2 piscinas. Es más grande que tu casa. There's your comparison. Es más grande que tu casa. In this case, it would go with C. My house has 5 bedrooms and 2 swimming pools. It is bigger than your house. Look out for clues in the Spanish to make it easier to link to the English. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second so you know to pause your screen and then we'll see how you did. Mark yourselves out of 5. Okay, so we saw number 1 went with C. Number 2, la casa de Juan es más cómoda que la casa de Luis is D. Number 3, el salón es menos moderno que la cocina goes with A. Number 4, me gusta este piso porque es menos antiguo que el otro, goes with E. And number 5, prefiero esta casa porque es mucho más bonita que las otras, goes with B. Well done. If you attempted the challenge, your translation would look something like, I would like to live in a house with 6 bedrooms and a big pool because I like swimming with my friends. And this is a tense that we haven't seen as yet, but if you managed to translate it, well done you. Right, so remember, comparatives. If you want to compare 2 things, you use the comparative form of the adjective. So you use to say something more than, más, plus your adjective, plus que. For example, más bonito o más bonita que. And if you're going to say less than, you use menos plus the adjective plus que. For example, menos cómodo or menos cómoda que. We've got the O strike A because we've got to remember our agreements, okay? Okay, so let's see how we do now. We complete the gaps with the correct version of the adjective in brackets to make comparative sentences. What I need you to do is to translate the adjective that's in brackets. And if you want a further challenge, you can translate 3 of the sentences. Okay, as an example, let's see 1. Argentina es más grande que Venezuela. Number 2, en mi opinión, Londres es menos moderno que Lima. 3, mi pueblo es mucho menos interesante que Madrid. My village is less interesting than Madrid. 4, hay 2 cuartos de baño, uno es más pequeño que el otro. There's 2 bathrooms, one is smaller than the other. 5, los dormitorios son más cómodos que el salón. The bedrooms are more comfortable than the living room. 6, los parques de Nueva York son más bonitos que los de Chicago. The parks in New York are prettier than the ones in Chicago. Y 7, las atracciones de Blackpool son más famosas que las de Brighton. The attractions in Blackpool are more famous than the ones in Brighton. See again how we are keeping our agreement. Now we're going to enter into the new vocabulary. You got most of them in your fact books, so please have your sheet in front of you to help you. And we're going to also take the opportunity to improve our pronunciation. So I'm going to got this symbol here, so you can pause the presentation if you like, to give you time to cross-reference. You got the vocabulary. So we're going to start with ¿Qué se puede hacer en? What can you do in? And the answer would be se puede o se pueden. Here we go. Se puede ir de paseo en bicicleta. Go on a bike ride. Se puede ir al restaurante. Go to the restaurant. Se puede ir a la playa. Go to the beach. Se puede visitar el castillo, visit the castle. Se puede jugar al golf, play golf. Se puede ver la catedral, see the cathedral. Se puede hacer senderismo, go hiking. Se pueden hacer actividades náuticas, do water sports or activities. So now we're going to do a little recap. ¿Qué se puede hacer en? What can we do in? Translate 1 to 8. Mark yourself out of 8. And if you want an extra challenge, start thinking of why the above start with an AR, IR or ER verb. Here we go. Ir de paseo en bicicleta was to go on a bike ride. Ir al restaurante, to go to the restaurant. Ir a la playa, to go to the beach. Visitar el castillo, to visit the castle. Jugar al golf, to play golf. Ver la catedral, to see the cathedral. Hacer senderismo, to go hiking. Hacer actividades náuticas, to do water sports or activities. Well done, everybody. Okay, so you've noticed we've said se puede, but we also said se pueden. What did we think that was happening for? Okay, so we know that both mean that you can, and they need to be followed by the infinitive. Now, what is an infinitive? If you remember before, I asked you to think, why did they all start with AR, ER or IR? And those were our infinitives, and the infinitives are the verbs before we add any endings, because when we add the endings, if you remember, we're giving them a tense. Okay, so that's a little reminder. So we use se puede with singular nouns. Se puede ver la catedral, you can see the cathedral. And you use se pueden with plural nouns. Se pueden hacer actividades náuticas. Normally your clue is in, if it ends in an S, you can do water sports. If you haven't done so already, write down in your books these differences. Okay, on the topic of se puede and se pueden, I'm going to ask you to translate these sentences. So I've got the symbol for pausing the presentation if you need to. You've got some help here with the vocab. Just a little note is that you can is used here as a general term, not specifically referred to you. Because I know some of you may be thinking, oh, but the second person is puedes. But this is just a general, things that you can do, you as a collective. Okay. You also got a challenge to write 3 more activities you can think of doing in Spanish and in English. For example, you can go to the cinema. Would be se puede ir al cine. Off you go. Right, let's see how you did. Give yourself a tick for each correct answer and mark yourself out of 5 as I've given you the first one. Number 2, you can play tennis. Se puede jugar al tenis. Number 3, you can do martial arts. Se pueden hacer artes marciales. Number 4, you can go to the bowling alley. Se puede ir a la bolera. Number 5, you can play volleyball. Se puede jugar al voleibol. And number 6, you can go shopping. Se puede ir de compras. Okay, this is a little optional challenge if you like. Try telling someone in your household things that you can do in a place that you know. Can they guess what you're saying if you give them a clue? Okay, so we were tackling 2 learning objectives, describing holiday activities and using the superlative. So now we definitely did the first one, so let's move on to the superlative. What is a superlative? We use it to say the biggest, the most, the least, etc. El parque más grande, the biggest park. Las playas más bonitas, the most beautiful beaches. Make sure that you write down how it's formed. You use the article, depending if it's singular, plural, feminine or masculine, plus más o menos, plus the adjective. And that would give you the most or the least plus the adjective. Okay, for example, el monumento más antiguo would be what? Let's see if we can translate these. The most old or the oldest monument, el hotel menos caro, la piscina más grande. The least expensive hotel, la piscina más grande would be the most or the biggest swimming pool. Okay, so let's have another pause and unjumble the words to make sentences that use the superlative in the English sentences. Here I've got to give you support, just reminded you of the structure. But if we see, the biggest clue is the English that you got to translate by unjumbling the Spanish. For example, the first one, Portaventura is the biggest theme park in Europe, would become Portaventura es el parque de atracciones más grande de Europa. Pause the presentation to do the exercise. Okay, let's see how we did. Number 2, la Sagrada Familia es el edificio más bonito de Barcelona. Number 3, la iglesia de San Juan es la iglesia más antigua de Puerto Rico. Number 4, la Concha es la playa más bonita de España. Number 5, las cuevas de Gibraltar son las más famosas del mundo. Well done, everybody. Now, if you like, please choose a destination that you know and say what, in writing, what you would do there. Make sure to use a comparative, superlative, a choice of se puede, se pueden, an opinion, and connectives. Okay, so now how are we doing with our learning objectives? We described the holiday activities and we've used the superlative. So now to finish the presentation, we're going to do a quick recap with Beat the Mouse. You're going to see a sentence in English or Spanish and you're going to translate it in your books before the mouse goes through the hole. You ready? Here we go. And that's all for me this week. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. Please feel free to email me if you got any questions on any of the topics that we've seen in the lesson, and if you want to show off any of your challenges, please go ahead and email me. Please stay healthy, helpful and calm. Hasta pronto, chicos.